Hey everyone, and welcome back to Just Start, the podcast where we cut through the noise and get straight to the practical steps for building a business in the Web3 era. I'm Rish from Room Platform. Our mission here is to help you, the aspiring entrepreneur, whether you're coming from Web2 or diving straight into Web3. Move from that brilliant idea to actually launching and growing your venture. We're all about actionable advice for those at the idea stage to stage zero. Today, I'm super excited to talk to a founder who I consider a friend and is truly pioneering at the intersection of privacy, data, and decentralization. Wilson Bright is the co founder and CEO of BlockSurvey, a platform revolutionizing how we think about data collection by making it privacy first and user owned. BlockSurvey is used by a diverse range of organizations, from local governments like the City of Columbia's Park and Recreation to nonprofits like Open Up Music and even Web3 giants like Yuga Labs. Wilson is on a mission to put data ownership back into the hands of users and is successfully navigating the complexities of building a product that serves both traditional organizations and cutting edge crypto communities. We want to delve into his journey, the challenges he's faced, and the strategies he's used to build BlockSurvey, especially focusing on how he got started and how he attracted early users and built for distinct audiences. Wilson, a massive welcome to Just Start. So I'm going to start straight off with the first question, Wilson. Before we dive into the nuts and bolts, could you share a bit of your background and what was the core problem or personal conviction that sparked the idea for BlockSurvey? What was the Just Start moment where you decided this was a problem you had to solve?
Thank you, Suresh. I'm really glad to be part of the show. To give you a background, BlockSurvey started from a simple hackathon run by Blockstack, now called as Stacks. They ran a hackathon with a theme called Society 3.0, and it's also titled as Can't Be Evil, more of a pun intended to take on Google. So they wanted to give back ownership of data and identity back to people in the digital sphere. So during this hackathon, myself with my friends, so we were validating few of the ideas using forms and survey tools. It's because validation is critical, right? So all the ideas you have to put it to test. Surveys is one of the vehicle where you at least ask your target audience, does this problem exist or not? And when we were looking into a few of the tools out there, we questioned the very tool we were using to validate. Do we really own the data what we collect through these tools? Really own the ideas and insights we gather from people? Do we really have any privacy in this space? And then during that hackathon, it was an all-nighter for about 48 hours. We were sleeping and at a co-working space and we were doing the work. And we did some secondary research and we found that there is not even one tool out there which offers complete ownership. If a simple encryption was not there, we found how invasive this space is. Data breaches, leaks have happened in this space, and how profiling of people who answer to these surveys were done, and how it was sold in the market. So this led us to start an MVP from there. Okay, why don't we create a tool that will help us to see if we can own the ideas and the data we collect through surveys? And then we started. It's a very simple story from the hackathon. We didn't imagine that we will build a business from.
So that's an interesting take. Was that the idea that you went into the hackathon, or
No,
was
we
that?
didn't. We just went with an open mind. We were evaluating on what is Society 3.0, right? So it's completely reimagining internet for people, the next generation of computing, right? So what we eventually Society 3.0 is an alternative word for Web 3.0 as well. So we wanted to see what is possible, and then this clicked. This clicked with respect to, okay, the tools what we are using in Web 2 can be ported to Web 3, and then we found surveys are there and we see an opportunity to port it. Why don't we hack and port it, and we'll see if there would be use cases. And then as we speak, I'll tell you what we found, some really surprising ways they used our tool, and then we started building along with the early users.
Perfect, perfect. Because now I'm going to ask you that particular question. Now, when you first launched Block Survey, or before, while you're validating the idea, what are the first concrete steps that you took to bring your product to life, especially with the focus on privacy from day one? How did you validate the need for privacy first? What made you think like, yes, this is a Web2 product that can come to Web3, but how did
Sure.
you focus on this part?
That's an interesting question. We always questioned about, is there really a market within a market, right? So how can we find the niche in this crowded market? So if you take survey tools, there are already about 500 of them. So the initial steps were to find if customers need a privacy first survey tool or not. So what we did is, once we had the MVP built, we wanted to see if this resonates with people out there. So what we chose to do is we launched it on Product Hunt, and Stacks also encourages us to launch on Product Hunt. And then we launched it on Indie Hackers, Hacker News, few crypto Discord communities back then, including Stacks. And then we advertised on few privacy first newsletters. And interestingly, what happened was, when we launched on Product Hunt, few community members picked BlockSurvey to create registration forms for Black Lives Matter rally. So that was the time they were organizing rallies. There were few nonprofits, foundations who were using us to create registration forms, bring people together more as an activism, right? So they wanted to get people to the street, and this helped us to see what resonated with them and how people may use it. From then, we started looking into surveys that are very sensitive in nature, from be it internal surveys run in organization, like could be anything that is anonymous, that needs to be anonymous, for measuring probably diversity and inclusion, burnout, or any sensitive topic within the organization, to external surveys, public surveys focusing on mental health, sexual health, activism, any sensitive coaching, self-assessment needs that needs real protection. Without encryption, they wouldn't be at peace. So we kind of carved out a very small niche within the crowded market, Suresh, and that's how we navigated the initial days.
So I'm very interested in understanding when you, it- it's one thing that you just dropped, like you put a product hunt, went into a hacker news. But what was the messaging you sent out to get people interested in that? What did you say that people say, like, okay, this is what we are doing, and got people's attention straight away?
Sure. I think the early days, what got people to be attentive, what captured their attention, was certainly the messaging around decentralization. So back then was always how AI is now a key trend, right? So I think AI agents, how we use today. Back then, it was decentralization. Anything that is decentralized, people were at least curious to see what it is. Though we were not really sharing the clear value proposition, saying that how you can own your data, that didn't resonate. But then we wanted to show them what is possible with decentralization. So we launched. I remember my very first copy in the landing page was decentralized survey tool, own your data. That's all we messaged it. So own your data, we don't get to see your data. That was the messaging we did. But is it the right way for communicating value proposition? Certainly it is not. But then the people who are tech savvy, who really understand this, they were able to pick it up and spread the word of mouth, and that's how we were launching it. I think it's more of a hook though, but I wouldn't recommend if value prop is not communicated. For hobbyists, it is interesting to see how we can capture attention through these few of these keywords.
I find it interesting that you found the right time to launch BlockSurvey, because decentralization is a big word, as you shared, and this just caught the curiosity. And getting Black Lives Matter as not say a client, but an organization that started using it along of the others that you mentioned seems really resonated to at least a core group of individuals. That's where, now moving slightly forward, you seem to be serving a very fascinating mix of clients. From city departments, that's really far from what you initially tested, and you got a small group of people. Then you got city of Columbia, no, sorry, the municipality of Columbia in South Carolina, Parks and Recreation Department to use it, to Yuga Labs, one of the giants in the space. How did you shift your value propositions from a simple own your data to these individuals? What did you do? What kind of marketing did you do there?
Sure, Suresh, that's a great question. It's how did we shift our value proposition continuously, right? I think it's evolving, Suresh. I see it's tough, really tough when you build for many. That is something that we realized only later in the game. The challenges we were facing were primarily when we were spreading across to build for the Web 2 and the Web 3 world. It's so much to take. The campaigns we have to run, the positioning, the languages we have to use to communicate. In the early days, I wouldn't recommend it to many at all. Though it did bring revenue, in retrospection, I see it's better to always to pick one niche. As you move forward, once you're done with one of the niches, then it's better to move to the next one. So it will be easy to keep tighter experiments. When we started with Web3, we didn't solve the Web3 vertical really well. So we had only very few Web3 customers. So we started working with them, understanding the the pain points in the data collection space, like token gating, building whitelist, allow list, naturally came in after the NFT wave. So it wasn't there in the early days, but then we did have few Web3 customers. But then since the Web3 customers didn't see much of value, so we also focused on Web2. That's where we were looking for audiences who really wanted to own their data, who wanted utmost privacy and security in the data collection they do. And we kind of pivoted, also started serving Web2 customers, meaning building a lot of data collection tools for them, automation with privacy as a core value prop. And once we were done with Web2, then we came back to Web3. There was a wave, and then we started building for Web3. And then continuing to serve the Web2 companies as well as Web3 companies to expand.
Can I just pull on that thread? So, are you building during the bull market, the Web3 segment actually picks up in usage?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then
I think
during
that's how
bear market, right?
we kind of followed market cycles as well. I think even last year when runes and ordinals came to limelight, so we jumped in to build for support runes and ordinals because we see people are searching for it. People are asking for tool sets how they can collect data in this space, specifically for runes. Communities were issuing runes or ordinals, right? So they wanted to have token gated facilities in this. So we supported them. When there isn't much happening, we also parallelly we are building for Web2 as well. So our roadmap is split between these two. We get these requirements in, and then we sit and stack rank them. On for every quarter, we see how much Web3 we can take, how much Web2 we can take. So that's
So,
been the process.
one thing we'll want to try that. These are two very different segments in terms of how number one people communicate in terms of messaging as well. In Web3, we all know Telegram, Discord, Twitter is a place where you get a lot of these Web3 communities, and that's where your hooks are. Spread your messaging there. But for Web2, how did you approach the marketing side of it? Did you use paid Google ads? Was it geared to going to events? What was your strategy there when you first started?
Sure. The strategy what we applied in the early days was primarily following this playbook product led growth. Meaning, if you sign up to a product, can you show immediate value? Primarily, jobs to be done. So usually, when users sees a product, they have a jobs to be done. Jobs to be done is a framework given by Intercom on how you can serve your customers. So we applied that in a product led way. So it's a self service way to sign up to a product and see value, and you subscribe and get your work done. So while doing this, to get the traffic inside for the first 100 users, I remember, like you said, jumping onto Telegram and spamming or DMing people to say, "Hey, I built this thing. Do you want to give it a try? Is this a pain point? Can you just give me some feedback?" I remember back in those days, someone told me in the community, they said, "Hey, if you ask for dollars, no, they will give you feedback. But then if you ask for feedback, they will give you dollars." So I was always asking them, "Hey, I don't want you to purchase. I'm not going to sell you anything." Then I told them, "Hey, I just want some honest feedback. What do you think about it?" And I reached out. I remember intentionally reaching out to people in Twitter, Discord, and in Telegram, DMing them, "Hey, would you be interested to try this? I'm just looking for feedback." And few did come back. A few feedback was harsh. Few were good. They asked me how I can position better. They told me. And that was more of an exercise. It's because since I built overnight from a hackathon, this validation came in later. So I think they say usually you have to have a product market fit. I think for us it was like it was the other way. It was the market product fit, right? I think so we were trying to see who is the market for this after we have built. I think that is a mistake though. I had building from hackathon. It's because the rush of a situation. But then we built it. We did see some conviction. There was some usage. Then we thought, okay, why don't we build it? But then finding first 100 customers, this is one way. So you can always ask people for feedback. And then I'm sure right now people are willing to give this feedback. If they really see a small problem and if they have felt it, they will honestly give you and they wanted you to succeed as well. I think majority of them feel that way. Maybe if I build another product right now, I would think I would still do this hyper personalized effort to research first and then show them only designs rather than building a full blown product. I'll show design to them and ask them, do you see this working for you? So it's because you don't have to spend money to build a product and then give it to their hands. Just a design itself will do is what I feel in these days.
So how long was your speed of iteration, Wilson? Because I've known you for a long time, since when I joined Alex Go, working for them as a contractor for a short period. That's how I got to know you. And I saw your speed of iteration was fast. But on your early days, when you're just starting sampling and targeting this first 100 people? Was it every 24 hours or weeks? What changes were you making and how fast?
The speed of change, early days, we certainly had a lot of energy, Suresh. So we were so motivated and we were so pumped up. I remember early days, we had this culture of shipping every day. So we wanted to get as much things as out as possible. It's because our conversation with customers too, we wanted to show them we are building for them. So we wanted to build this trust with them that we are building seriously for them. So whenever a customer asks us, a potential customer, even if they're paying or not paying, early days was a free platform and we were learning with them. We didn't differentiate paying versus free at all. So all feedback that comes in, if it is novel, if it is unique, that will help us to uniquely differentiate ourselves from the market which is out there. We said, okay, let's observe it. It's because no one is choosing to build this. So that was our strategy, and then we were shipping every day. Then later on, it became a week. Right now, we follow a very weekly cycle. We continue to ship every week, Suresh, and so that the customers see immediate benefits from the features we ship.
I must say that that's one thing I've seen resonate, having done a few of the interviews now. Create value before you ask anything, which I think you proved the point there. And also in terms of process or iteration, you just got to be on the ball and test as many experimentation as possible just to see what sticks. But here's what I want to check with you, just so that the audience can appreciate you were doing all this experimentation, all this feedback back before you were being able to sell a single product. Do you see a consecutive pattern now that you're breaking into each new area, that when you ask for the first value feedback to your first customer, is there like a huge gap that you keep testing, or it usually has a window of within 2 months? If you don't see any traction, you pivot to something else in terms of area of experimentation. When do you know when to stop that particular experiment?
I think it's with respective to finding a lookalike customer. So we build one feature. So I'm seeing what is the cost to build it, and then I'm seeing if the customer who has asked for is willing to pay to use the feature. And if they are using it, and then I'm asking them, hey, can you give us a testimonial for this feature? Can you give us a review? Can you introduce us to another contact of yours? Right? I think so. We're just trying to bring them more like building a fan base, or more of a community, right? And so that they become our true affiliates, who become our champions. And I'm constantly measuring at it. Hasn't changed that ethos of how we wanted to be with customer is continuing to happen, and we are constantly learning. I see customers are really willing to have these conversations, and we value their time, and they're also paying us money for us to build this further and take this forward, and we are very grateful for that, Suresh. And I see all customers are willing to take that time to tell you what the pain points are.
Okay. The one thing I want to check in right now in terms of drawing, so far your experience having done Web3 and also Web2, they both, in terms of developing a SaaS product, there's different challenges that you are addressing. One, from the way I looked at it, was a Web3 native user is comfortable using wallets to connect to the platform, whereas Web2 users who have no idea what Web3 is about, forget about wallet, they will like get afraid immediately, thinking like, what if I lose my seed phrase? So
Yeah.
how did you particularly address challenges within this particular intersection there? What did you do? How did you educate them?
Okay. How did we address this challenges? It's a difficult one, Suresh. We learned along the way. Like you said, a few people don't get it at all. So we had only the wallet login when we started with, and they were just dropping off. They didn't understand it. They thought it's another crypto platform. They were asking, are the tokens involved? If tokens are involved, they said they don't want to come in. It's because they were afraid. They didn't find full safety and security when we were saying crypto to them. It's because crypto is very alien thing to many of the Web2 audiences. And then, like you said, there is fear of a few wanted to learn it, so we educated them what it is. It's because when you equate crypto, the thing that comes to mind for the majority is still it's the currency, right? Not the applications of the Web3 or the potential use cases of decentralization, right, or blockchain. And we have to educate them, and few were willing to learn, and then they were okay with it. But then few were simply not; they weren't able to comprehend. And so we kind of started offering a seamless way for Web2 users to onboard. So we started offering email authentication along with a crypto wallet. And then even there, you have to save your seed phrase. The wallet BlockSurvey wallet keys, what we have to give to them, they have to store it. Then a few customers were losing it. I think they were really mad at us. "Hey, I've lost it. Is there no way to recover my data at all?" Yes, you cannot recover, but it's very difficult. We told them to use password manager to mitigate this, but then still they lose it, right? So I think we weren't able to solve it. Then eventually, right now, it is we brought in an additional factor with respect to you store it on your device using your passkey. So passwordless logins are coming in. So we have kind of abstracted even the secret key management. You don't have to see your secret key at all. I think that's the recent rollout. What we did is we are just evaluating it, but it's a constant learning. How can we still do privacy first, the zero knowledge way of doing things in this world, and still give that convenience to users, to the mainstream? So we iterated and we are evaluating, but we are constantly learning from others in the industry as well. So,
This is a very fascinating point that you raise because, well, I know Dan, the CEO of Boom, is building this product, and he's finding the exact same challenge that you mentioned. What if our grandmothers wanted to shop on Web3? How would that particular wallet experience be? If you tell them, remember 12 to 24 seed phrase, forget
yeah,
about it. You drop them off
yeah.
completely. So we are thinking exactly on the same line. So it's interesting to see that you found passkeys to be the element that's where the focus is. So, Wilson, for individuals who are going to start building in the intersection of Web3 and Web2, what advice would you give these founders in navigating challenges that you have found in Web3 and Web2? And what do they should they focus on?
Sure. What are some challenges I faced? I felt I struggled with positioning, messaging, and pricing. Example, I remember struggling to articulate the value for the end users. I was using really jargons like zero knowledge encryption, decentralization to end users, which didn't mean much to them. So rather than communicating about technology, sharing valuable outcomes over tech is helpful for the audience. Also, I remember early days of building, I didn't have any metrics to measure at all. The focus was just on building. Can we see usage as a metrics, right? But then I didn't pick the right North Star or the KPI to go after. Then I realized it should not be about vanity metrics like signups or usage, but it should be focusing on retention. So someone told me the number one metrics you should focus with in a subscription business is retention. Can you focus on retention till you hit $1 million? And that's the only key metric we should focus on. I think these are few mistakes I learned the hard way. I feel builders who are starting out, specifically serving in more through subscription economy, or even for usage based economy that is picking up with the advent of AI coming in. The number one metric that you should focus on should be on customer retention. If you retain customers, then you'll be able to learn from them and move from them, and they will champion you.
So, Wilson, that's very interesting. Now I'm really interested in understanding that part of it. What did you do to retain them? Because I personally, when I use a survey, once I've used the questions, I don't think I ever come back again until I need to do
Okay.
another survey. So how did you retain them? Because SurveyMonkey has offers, there's a lot of different products out there. Like you said,
Yeah.
500 surveying tools out there. How did you capture and retain your cohort of users? What did you do, or what are you doing?
It's building this relationship, Suresh. So just sitting with them and how can they maximize the usage of the platform. So what we are doing is we are giving them plans, we are helping them with design, we are showing them what are the research possibilities they can use. There's more of value add with respect to see the entire calendar, like how we have content calendar. If you have a calendar for data collection, so the cadence, if it is being built out, then they will be able to see a lot of rich insights from the data what they collect. And then also it is more of an engagement, right? So if you wanted to engage with your customers, customer engagement through surveys are also a way. And you show them that you care about it, you're actively listening, and then you're also going to work on the action plan you get out of it, the items that comes off the data that you collect, and then you share with them. This is more of a also a relationship building exercise. And what we are doing is we are using surveys as a vehicle among our customers also to engage with them, and it is helping us to learn them more, and we are showing that every touch point we can be listenable to them. This relationship building is the way.
That's very interesting. Okay. I'm personally going to take that on board as well in terms of building the relationship. But Wilson, the one area I want to understand is your for Web2 users. How do you get engaged with them right now? Do you have a newsletter, or do you just based on your current users base, you get in touch with them, and that's the only approach you use? The reason I'm asking this question is that on Web3, like we
Yeah,
discussed, Discord,
yeah.
Telegram, and all the areas that are key points, the touch points. On Web2, I'm assuming do you use anything specific
Right now,
measures to communicate?
it's primarily through newsletters, Suresh. We send a biweekly newsletter, and we communicate all the things that are happening within the product and within the community, and also write personal emails to see just a quick check-in, more of a checkpoint to see can we be of helpful, and we also do surveys periodically to listen from them, and that has been the mechanism. And then we also have a Discord community where members do hang out. And if there are any questions, they can open a support ticket. And we also have a help center where they can write to us if they have some feature requests. And within the product, also, we nudge them to reach out to us if they need any assistance. So we try to be there and be listenable to them.
So, Wilson, if let's say for anybody who's wanting to build on a Web3 right now or intersection of Web2, right from the idea stage, you've shared quite a lot of alpha here, to be honest. What are the 2 to 3 most critical pieces of actionable advice you would give them? Let's say your younger brother wants to start
Sure.
a business. What would you say, like, yeah, PMF is one, validation is also, but besides those 2 areas, what are the 2 or 3 actionable steps you'll say, like, okay, in the next 1 month, you have to complete these 3 tasks, or the next 2 weeks, for say, what would you ask them to do?
Absolutely. That's an interesting question. See, lately I've been thinking about this three-step, right? What if we have to execute only 3 steps and then you get to see whether the product is a go or no go? First is certainly validating your idea itself. Just put it to test. Maybe if you like I said, I think if you're DMing people, sending direct message, asking them for feedback, do that process at least to find the 10 people who see that they have resonance or they recognize there is a pain point or not. That is one. And then if you from there, if you see, okay, 10 of them are recognizing it, then can you ask them if you can build for them? And if you can build for them and if you can retain them, then the feedback loop starts. So you ask feedback to them frequently, and then from there, if they are happy, ask them to recommend you to their circle, and then make them as an affiliate. So it becomes a win-win situation. So that's how I see it. But the key thing is, even if we have got 10 people, if we retain them uh, over the year, and then if we can learn from them, they become kind of a customer advisory board. I remember in one of the SaaS bootcamp we went to, they said if you create this customer advisory board among your first 10 or 100 customers, then you are sorted. It's because they are going to give you a narrative, more of a roadmap that is uniquely positioned for you to solve it. No one else will have these insights outside. And then you will be able to see, maybe your positioning, messaging, everything will change, but then you have carved out your own niche among the crowded market, or even if it is a new market, you will create your own market through these conversations.
So that's one thing. One element I forgot to check in with you was on the element of pricing, Wilson. I found speaking to many builders, even NFT artwork or somebody like you building a real life product that's very crucial for privacy. How did you find the sweet spot for
Okay.
pricing? That's always a hit. I'm so scared. Like for me, I know when you ask me to sell something and it's just new, I'm so scared if I price it too high, people leave. If I price it too low, I lose profit. So how did you come to that sweet spot that, like, okay, this
Yeah,
is
I
what I
think
feel is
one is
comfortable?
looking at the competitive landscape today. So I think in the markets do have a pricing, but then if you are differentiated and no one else is doing, then certainly calls for a premium. So and you shouldn't hesitate to do it at all. And we learned the hard way as well that we've lost deals when we undervalued ourselves with respect to pricing, and then there was no trust in it as well, right? So we constantly iterated on pricing, and a premium always is better. They see you better, and the value you offer to them is better. It's because you're getting the money and they're able to support better. So specifically for products in the SaaS space, premium pricing does makes it more interesting for businesses to see. And even for, I remember working with you also in NFT also when we launched a collectible for BlockSurvey. I remember we were discussing about what should be the pricing. But even if we price it higher, what we will know is we'll know what is the right pricing next time. So it's always better to price higher and then you can always discount it later on. And I see that's the approach, and it's a constant discovery. I think with inflation coming in, I see people are bringing in more value addition. So you can always see research, and you can also find out what is a sweet spot. Right now, we are also doing research for pricing for our product among our customers. We're asking them. There is this couple of questionnaires I wanted to recommend. One is called as Gabber Gragner. Another is called as Van Westendorp. These are pricing research scales. It is also available inside BlockSurvey. What you can do is you can use it to see what is your sweet spot for pricing. Your customers, your audience can tell you what is the right pricing for.
I'll include this in the show notes and also when I write up the article to put these two links so people appreciate that information where they can read more about this. But you're right on one aspect. It's such a weird psychological impact when you put the word premium. For some reason, it sort of sells your entire product. But if you give them a discount, they say, oh, that must be cheap for a reason. And it's actually not. You're just trying to say, like, I want to serve a wider market. But low price, for some reason, sends a wrong messaging in a way, I find. Well, so you put premium, people
Yeah.
said it must be valuable. That's why they're charging. So that's a very interesting insight I'm learning as well. But one thing, Wilson, I just want to check in with you. I remember when you did the NFT collection that if they hold up to 10 NFT
Yeah.
BlockSurvey NFTs,
Yeah.
lifetime access. I don't know about others, but perhaps because I was building it with you, I grabbed straight away 10 when it launched. But when I spoke to others, I know a lot of individuals just grabbed it, all 10 of them. They said because they saw tremendous value and they say, like, even though they don't use it, like you say, the inflation rate becomes a collectible down the line and they can sell it out as well. Did you find that product using NFT able to capture a wider audience, or
Absolutely.
that
I
was
think it
just like a
was
fad?
more for community building exercise. So we didn't have the community with us back then. When we launched it, I think what can we offer to Web3 community, and can we build community? We can learn from them and we can also build for them. So it was more of an exercise to see, we are giving early adopters a deal. Join us, give us your feedback, use us, and we are going to build for you. So that was the message, and then we were able to build few passionate audience through that sale.
Wilson, this has been incredibly insightful. I mean, your journey with Block Survey offers so many valuable lessons for anybody building with conviction, serving a diverse market to say the least, and championing user privacy. I can't thank you enough for sharing your wisdom to the JStart community here. So, can you just, as closing points here, what's your long-term vision for Block Survey, and where do you see the broader privacy first technology space heading the
Our
next couple
long
of
term
years?
vision, I see when we started in retrospection, when I see the past, how we reimagined the space through privacy first to start with. And right now we are at a juncture that is the core of it, that is done. So now we are at a juncture where we are reimagining through AI right now. And this space is not touched by AI yet. So there are a few experiments being done across, but we see the role of AI and how it can bring in efficiency for people and businesses to collect data, get key insights and value out of the data in quicker time is possible. So it's because the language computing is possible. So we are trying to reimagine once again through see how can we really get this done through AI. So saving you time and money and achieve whatever you wanted to achieve from the data. So make it more of a platform that helps you to see, get rich insights from.
Gotcha. So, Wilson, if somebody wants to search for you right now, I want to get in touch with Wilson. I want to know more about Block Survey. Can you drop in your handles and also in terms of any your contact details? How do people
You can
find you?
always follow us on Twitter at BlockSurvey, and you can also follow me at WLSNBR. That's my handle. It's a very short form for Wilson Bright. Or if you search for Wilson Bright in Twitter or LinkedIn, feel free to follow me. Also connect with me. Happy to jump and chat on with you. Thank you.
Wilson, thank you as always. And I know for, like I mentioned, the Just Heard community listeners, they're going to really appreciate what you just shared here. I know I learned a lot and we'll definitely chat again soon.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Bye.